Hey guys, Rexasaur here and welcome to Update Monday on the 21st of March 2022. I hope everyone's doing well and that you've had a good week since last week when I did an Update Monday. A few random facts for today. My neighbour's roof is being taken down and I'm in full view of what's in their attic, which at the moment is nothing because the roof's been taken down. Yes. So, what happened last week? Quite a few things happened last week, D&D related mostly. I did a lot of D&D last week. The main session which I have on Wednesday they're in a very good political conundrum between a beholder and some drow, which they're trying to sort out. And then as part of that, I did a solo session with one of the players who went with one of the drow to their place and did some discussions regarding that, which I'm not going to tell you what happened in that because some of the players are listening and I want that to be resolved this week anyway, or in the future, because I can't decide what gets resolved when. But it was good fun. I had a really, really good session with Rick on Saturday regarding that. We had a lot of fun and I'm really, really interested in seeing what transpires from it. And then on Sunday we had session 0 for another D&D that I'm starting. We basically just roll up characters and things. As of now, it's just going to be a short 2 to 3 session campaign, I guess, with the possibility of it extending further. It's for my good friend Koa, who streams. Been watching his streams for a good few months now, maybe almost a year, I guess, maybe. It's been a while, but he's said at several points in his streams that he was interested in D&D but never had a group to play it with, and him and his partner are playing in it, as well as a few others, and we're gonna just see how it goes. Hopefully it'll be good fun. Yesterday we had a lot of fun. Took a little while and I almost missed movie night, which in movie night we watched The Bourne Legacy, which is the 4th Bourne movie, which is it's not a prequel, it's it happens during the events of the 2nd and 3rd movie. But it was really good. It was much better than the 2nd Bourne, is what I'm going to say about it. Although I missed the beginning, I felt like the story, even partway through, I only missed maybe half hour of it. And I still feel like I could follow it. Once I was told very briefly, oh yeah, this is what's happened so far. It's okay, cool, I know exactly what's going on now and I can follow this pretty nicely. I felt like the ending was a little bit abrupt, but I guess in the scheme of things it's because we as people want to know what goes on in the wider picture, whilst the story does end for the characters involved. So, yeah, it was good. What else? I've been playing a ton of Horizon Forbidden West. What a game. Absolutely fantastic game. I cannot recommend it enough. I am just over 40 hours into the game now. Still not halfway through the actual progression though. I have done quite a bit now. I feel I'm a little overwhelmed at this point with the amount of missions that I've got ongoing. Whereas previously what I'd done is I'd gone to an area and did all the missions in that area before moving on. I kind of was getting to the point where I was finding areas that I couldn't complete because I was missing certain equipments that you acquire as part of the main story. So I decided to go as far into the main story as I deemed needed until I got one of these items, and I managed to get myself one of them, which allows me to swim infinitely, which seems a little dumb, but also I kind of understand why it's in the game. But yeah, so it's great. It's good, and the story's fantastic. There was an element of the story where I had to put, basically you enter this place and you have to help this tribe who are trying to get water, and the way they get water is that they sell machine parts for water. So the bigger the machine part, the more water that they can get for the tribe. And then when you get to the main thing, it turns out that the well where all the water comes from is dry, and they're rationing what they've got, but there's no more water coming in, so you have to resolve that. And then when you find it, you find that someone has accidentally sabotaged it. So basically the person who has the water, the leader of the whole tribe, believes that it was done on purpose, whereas the other person, it was one of his scouts that were just looking for more water so that they themselves didn't have to keep requesting it, had accidentally sabotaged the entire process of water coming in. So she believes it's done on purpose. He's like, you didn't even tell us that there was a problem. We could have resolved this. And they have a fight. And you have to you actually have to choose which side you want to follow. And I stood there for like 5 minutes being like, I don't know who I want to pick. Both of these sides are right. And I was at that point that I was like, this story is so well written and I love it. And then I did a part later down the line where, one of the characters you start off is quite cold, and then by the end of it he wants to join your team, and I felt like that progression was done so well. Even though it was done in a really short time frame, maybe it takes like 2 to 3 hours of in-game for it to happen, but during that time you're like, I can see this character changing his mind about you and wanting to join the bigger picture kind of thing. So fantastic story so far. Really, really enjoying it, and can't recommend it enough. I'm not super far into the game. I don't want to say exactly where I am in case some people are playing through it, because it is a relatively long game. I mean, like I said, I'm 40 hours in. I'm not even halfway through in terms of progression percentage anyway. But yeah, the story's fantastic. It's really, really good. Really, really enjoying it. I think I am done with Total War until the new patch for Warhammer 3. What I was doing is I played a bunch of Warhammer 3, and then I swapped over to Warhammer 2, where I've done 4 campaigns in a very short time period. But I've enjoyed all of them a lot. I really, really have. So what campaigns did I do? I did Bretonnia, Dwarves, Wood Elves, and Dark Elves. 3 of them on the Vortex campaign and 1 of them on the actual Mortal Empires. And really, really enjoyable. But I'm at a stage now where I'm like, do I want to start a whole new campaign, or do I want to wait until the patch 1.1 for Warhammer 3 comes out? Haven't made that decision yet. It's very likely this week I will start a new campaign on it, but right now I just want a little break from it. I did play a tiny little bit of Witcher 3 again. I'm currently in Novigrad, but I played maybe a good 2 hours of it over the weekend, and then I was like, I want to play more Horizon. But I was waiting for my my controller to charge back up. Yes. What else? There's not really much. Like, there's for those of you who are in the know, there's a bit of a rift once again. It's interesting because it has the same energy as the Rome 2 divide that we had in the Total War community, but it's not. It's either not as big or as prevalent. Mostly, I think, because the community has already been through it. But what's really interesting is the content creator response to it is much, much heavier than it was back in Rome 2. And I feel that's because Rome 2 didn't have the content creator page, when they get the early access and whatever the fact, I can't remember exactly what they call it, but I watch Legend of Total War a lot. I absolutely adore his content. I think he's a great player of the game, but also he's a really great guy in general. And what I like about it is that he's not afraid to let people show him his emotions and what he's feeling about it. And when he's wrong, he will openly admit that he was wrong. And we've seen him apologise for mistakes that he's done in the past or things that he said that weren't thought out. And he's always there, listening about things and saying, I said that and I could have worded it much better, or I said it but it probably wasn't the right thing to say. I did this thing but I shouldn't have done it because people can misconstrue that really easily. And he's been very vocal about what's going on. A lot of other content creators have been a bit more quiet, but I feel like because of his vocalness, it's allowed a lot of other content creators to express their own things. And one of the things that I saw was, which I was linked through YouTube community page, through Legend, who shared this post by Melkor, was an attempt to get a content creator union, like similar to a works trade union, where the content creators would make agreements about things that CA was giving them. So, for example, one of the big things is that content creators are unable to give their opinions of the game during the embargo process. And that hurts Warhammer 3 a lot, because a lot of players got it and then just instantly just hated it. And that gives a very negative view of Total War, and for those who like Total War, we don't want that. We want it to thrive, we want it to do better, and we want CA to know better. Where the thing is, they ignore a lot of the player base, and whilst the patch notes that are out do help in the long term, it's an implication, like they should have done this pre-launch. Basically, this should have been addressed, because they're the same things that the content creators had been feeding back to CA prior to launch, but we weren't told that we're feeding that back because they weren't allowed to let us know about that kind of stuff. So the idea being that this union will allow content creators to agree to do the same things, to be like, well, CF told us we're not allowed, but we're all going to do it. What's CA going to do? Going to reduce us content? The thing with the things is that any Total War gameplay that I saw through Legends channel. I didn't look at the official Total War because I know that that's obviously going to only show the good things. I don't really look at other content creators, Donkey being an exception as well. I do look at Donkey, but very similar to Legend, like I really trust his judgment, and I play with Mark with various other games as well, so we're good friends regarding that. So I know that, but because of that, I'm aware of what he can and cannot tell people in the embargo, and so having a union that allows him to say what he really thinks about the game and what Legend really thinks about the game, what all the other content creators are forced to hide, is nice. Because I feel like when we had our discussions with Donkey after the embargo dropped, I was like, so what do you think about this thing and stuff? I feel like he was still holding things a little back. And I don't think that that's fair. But it shows that he listens to his embargo, so hey ho. But if there was a union of some kind, and this is where the power of the power of the workers effectively comes in, it would mean that CA would be in a position where they either have to listen to the content creators, finally their feedback, or address them rather than ignore them completely. So I think that's the big issue, is that CA is just not listening to anyone, or at least isn't even saying to people, we're listening to you. It's just, here's a message. So the game's launching, and it's like, why have you put your message to the side? Like, read it. Can you address it? Can you just say, oh yeah, we've taken feedback, we agree, or we disagree because, and that would just go a long way, because right now everyone feels ignored. The patch 1.1 notes come out and we're all like, why wasn't this done sooner, firstly? And like, we don't know. No one's going to tell us. Or why are you only doing this now? Don't you know that these mechanics suck, kind of thing. But yeah, those are just short thoughts. Once again, I'm not one of those content people. I don't get early access or whatever, so I don't really care what CA think about me at this point. There used to be a time where I might have done. I don't really care. I'm a small YouTuber. I don't do shit. I barely do any kind of game content now, even on stream. But it pains me because I was in that position a long time ago, specifically. Well, when the first Warhammer came out, there was a possibility where I could have got up there if I had worked harder for it, but I was not in a right frame of mind for that. But I know from the aspects and the points that are being made by the other content creators, I know how painful it is just to not know anything and just be like, why? Why aren't you information? This is the same in any business. More information is always better. Always. Even when it comes to like secret intelligence agencies telling the public what they know, I think that's better than withholding information. Just because more information allows people to make actual decisions and choices. And I feel like the huge misinformation crisis that we've got at the moment is because so many agencies and government departments and just general like schools when we're taught as educated children things, we are not being given all the information, which means that we make poor decisions. And then when we've made that poor decision, we then get burnt and we feel like, well, I can't trust this information that I do have, so I'm not going to trust any information, which you get to conspiracies and all that crap. And yeah, it's difficult. And I'm not going to go on a tangent now about being how I think that history is the best subject, because it tells you to sift through all the sources, and when you don't have all the sources, or if you think you've got all the sources, you don't, so you have to fish out what you can. Don't believe things at face value, kind of thing. But I feel like, and it confuses me why that's not like the done thing. Go back on the whole point that I'm making, if Creative Assembly had just told the content creators when the feedback was coming in, Creative Assembly was like, we cannot change this right now. We do not have the budget to make those changes yet. We need to wait until the game launches so that we can allocate the money where it's needed. All of the staff who are on hand currently are just ensuring that certain elements of the game are working on certain components, certain PC makes and models. We found these errors that we're not going to share publicly, but we found some and we need to fix them. Or currently half of our staff is actually on time off because it's the post-holiday period, and a lot of them were still working during the holiday period to try and get this game launched. Or we understand that the Realm of Chaos doesn't work, but we want a bit more of a wider view of it. Whilst we understand that like more than 75% of you don't like the thing, you're only a small sample, we want a larger sample. Just information. All of the things that I've just said now basically lead to CA with the same thing. They haven't patched the game today, with all the excuses that I've just made up on the spot. I don't know how the fuck CA works. But all of it leads to the same position that they are now, except they look significantly better because they've been honest and open about their own internal problems, which I understand they may not want to show publicly, but that's why the creator program's there, so that they can give those privately, and then none of these creators are allowed to say, but at least they can then say in the streams when people are like, oh, why haven't CA done this? They've got all the content creators, the public faces of their games, effectively. It's being like, oh, don't be too hard on them. From what I've heard, there's a bit of things going on internally that we can't discuss, but don't be too hard on CA, they're working on it as fast as they can, kind of thing. And then there's always going to be some people who are like entitled assholes who'll be like, oh, yeah. But in the end, like, if you've got the public face, basically when people look at Total War, they don't see CA, they see Legend or Donkey or Lionheart or Melkor or Jackie Fish or whatever, all these content creators who play Total War, and they're the people that the questions are being asked about, not the actual developers. And I feel like CA need to figure that out, basically. And I feel like every company, whether games company or just any company, need to figure that shit out, because in the end, the employee, although the content creators aren't employees, you can sort of see the relation there. Employees are the face of the company in the end, so you need to ensure that the employees know as much as, or at least way more than they currently do. That was a bit of a rant. I feel like I've just resolved the entirety of the world's problems right there. That was a joke. But yeah, so that was that. Good times. So this week what we're doing, not much. Well, D&D. I have a lot of D&D prep to do for Sunday. And yeah, and also this roof is coming down very nicely. I'm not going to show you because that requires moving my webcam, and I don't think it reaches that far, and also I don't want to show you my windowsill, which is full of crap right now. Yes, that is all. Thank you very much for watching. Hope that you enjoy the video. Hope you have a good week. I'm going to be watching a bunch of streams and doing some D&D prep, and then probably playing more Horizon. Otherwise, not a huge amount of plan. Yeah, sounds good. Have a good one, and ta-ta and farewell, and go return those videotapes you've been hoarding. That's right. I know you're a hoarder.